I'm really glad to be here, and I'm really glad that a lot of the keywords that I have in my presentation I've heard them from you guys in the discussions we had and in your presentation as well. So most of the things that I'm going to tell you are going to click with you. So the fight for freedom, that's the topic for me. This is, it's like a balance. It's a constant struggle between everyone's need for individuality and the convergence of our individual efforts in order to create a civic movement. In order to have this individuality, individuality keeps us relevant. In marketing, we always say unique selling points. We say differentiator, in order to define what makes us unique, to how we are different from anyone else on the market. So whenever you think of NGOs and civic groups, this is the same for them as well. They try to be different. They try to have a place on the market. But when you think of civic groups and NGOs, we need to put our differences aside and work together if we are to hope to be successful in creating collective movements. Now, I'm Ervin Bolat, and I'm a board member in Inițiativa România. And I've been working in an IT company in marketing for the last 5 years, and I volunteered for Inițiativa for the last 2. It's hard. Like in a country that the political landscape is against the rule of law, there's a lot of pressures on the NGOs. So thinking about what we need to change in Romania, we have this Inițiativa România, we thought that in order to be successful, we need to bring everyone on board. Like, our first project was to get new people, a new political party in the local elections. So in order to do that, we discussed with everyone, and like NGOs, political parties, and told them that we need to work together. So when we tried this at first for the local elections in 2015, we weren't quite successful because the political parties, their leaders, didn't want to work together. So at that point, we found, actually, the Friedrich-Naumann Foundation found us, and we started working together, and we decided to try again for the parliament elections. This time, new people, a new political party managed to enter the parliament. So before I go further into the solutions that we had to make this happen, I want to tell you a bit of the political overview in Romania, and just to understand the context. So the communist regime fell in 1989. And after that, there was like very long transition period. And some of the people say that we're still in transition. In 2007, Romania joined the European Union, and reforms were implemented, judiciary included. Between 2012 and 2016, 4,781 individuals, like a prime minister, ministers, mayors, county council presidents, county councillors, prosecutors, judges, policemen, public servants have been sentenced for corruption or corruption-related offenses by the national after the investigation of the National Anti-Corruption Directorate. So this institution has been praised in the reports of the European Commission within the cooperation and verification mechanism. This institution also became very popular in the public perception. In 2013, Russia-Montana gold mine was set to reopen. And at that point, like, people started boiling. Green and anti-corruption activists decided that, okay, we're going to take the streets and protest against its reopening. That year, that summer, the streets of Bucharest were filled with protesters. They were the biggest protests since the 90s. And it was the first time that the generation born in the 80s and 90s were protesting. 30th of October, 2015, I was in a team building with my colleagues from work. Phone started ringing for everyone. Friends and family were asking if we were okay, if we were safe. We were in the mountains, but for some of us, the families didn't know, not all our friends knew. Soon it was all over the news. A fire emerged in a club, and during a concert, and people died there. We knew the club, and we had friends who might have been in there. Any one of us could have been in there. It was found that the fire was due to negligence and the corruption of the local authorities who allowed for this club to function without properly inspecting for compliance. January 31, 2017, late in the night, the government decides to issue an emergency decree in order to partially decriminalize the abuse of office and favoring the perpetrator. Both Liviu Dragnea, the president of the PSD, the Social Democrats, and Călin Popescu-Tăriceanu, the president of ALDE, the Liberal Democrats, were direct beneficiaries of this decree. The decree was published late in the night, same night, at 1 a.m. 31st January, 5th February, 2017, Romanians take the streets, and they, across the country, hundreds of thousands, they're the biggest protests that Romania has seen since the fall of the communism. 5th of February 2017, the government backs down and repeals the decree. In March 2017, 5 organizations joined together to discuss and draft a program together to have programmatic document. In May 22nd, 2017, we launched Coalition for Romania. What I forgot to mention, sorry, was that after the fire in that rock club, during the first week, some of my colleagues, one of my colleagues from work and a group of people that were also moved by the events, they decided to create a Facebook page and to collect and support the victims and their families. So, in that week, Inițiativa România was founded in 2017. So, here, in May 22nd, to get Inițiativa România together with the other organizations that drafted the programmatic document, we decided to publicly launch, in a joint press conference, the national civic group platform called Inițiativa România. So, what do we do at Inițiativa România? At Inițiativa România, Inițiativa România was, as I said, was a pilot project. We tried to bring together everyone so that we can have a chance to change the way that the governments have treated us in the past. And looking at this, even after what happened at the Rock Club with the fires and all the people that went to jail for corruption charges, the government still didn't stop. They were for the next 2 years, after the big protests for that decree, they were still pushing to dismantle the National Anticorruption Directorate, to dissolve the rule of law in Romania. They didn't care about embassies complaining about it, publicly warning them that, okay, all the legislation initiatives that you are trying to implement, they will weaken the rule of law, they will weaken the fight against corruption, they will weaken the independence of your judicial system. But they weren't listening. To the voices of the embassies, prosecutors, judges added their own voice. Independent judicial organizations, even the US State Department. But they weren't listening. So, in order to change something, Inițiativa România worked together with Friedrich-Naumann on various projects. Some of our projects include, so we have this Contract Romania, that we have a coalition of NGOs across the country, but we also have a public procurement map. We have short movies and lyrics contest. We have electoral information platform. So, you have here a glimpse of the public procurement map. So, on this map, you can see all the institutions that have purchased directly or via an auction anything in the last few years, since we have the data. So, you can see with what companies they deal, what they bought, and you can actually flag purchase if you see anything suspect about it, and we can ask for details from the public institutions based on the public information bill. We have this anti-corruption shorts and lyrics contest, where we have we award content creators, and we create like buzz not just around the prizes that these people get, but also around the content and their creators. This platform also has like information regarding the corruption in Romania, so that people have, like, even if I want to create something and I do not know what corruption means in Romania, I can still go to this website, research a bit on it, and maybe I'll come up with an idea of what to create. The elections information platform. Here we have, for each set of elections since 2015, we've created profiles for the candidates, and people can come to this website, read their profiles, and compare them, and compare their parties' programs as well. Okay, so let me tell you one thing. In Inițiativa România, any project that we do has three underpinning principles. One, it's coalition building. Ecosystem. We create for each project an ecosystem. And second is coalition building. And third, we have real impact. So they're kind of the same of what you're presenting, but this is in a civic landscape, let's say. So, ecosystem. Let's think of the contest. So, during the contest, we announced that, okay, we will run the contest, and people start joining our contest. As soon as they publish, they send us materials, we check them for compliance, like based on the rules that we set for the content. And if they are good, we immediately publish them on our platform and on the social media. So this in turn brings about more submissions, because people start seeing, okay, I'm not the only one crazy enough to try something like this. It's okay. So once we have this, we have a jury that is composed of movie directors, composers, partners of Inițiativa România, that come together and decide who is the winner. On this platform, as I said, you have information about corruption. So you have a list of corrupt individuals, politicians, and this information we mostly get from the researches that we did in the electoral platform. And also about institutions and how they spend public money, like illegally, and this kind of information we can get from the public procurement map. So any project that we do is created with the idea to support each other, to create this whole ecosystem of interconnected projects. Coalition building. In order to promote these projects across the country, we rely on our civic group network. So whenever we go around the country, like we made, how do you call it? Road trip. So we go on a road trip to promote it, and we collaborate with our partners in the civic group. So we create events, local events, to debate on the corruption topic, and also to showcase the content and the creators. Real impact. So the participants in this contest, they are more vocal. We promote them. They have this, they will volunteer maybe with us. Maybe some of them, they will go into politics. So all of this will create, in turn, a real impact in the society. So maybe it's not necessarily about who is different or who is not, who like bringing people together like similarities, but maybe it's about sharing every little success and telling the world, creating models of how we can work together and in turn, with all our efforts, try to make a collective movement. So before I finish, I want to show you, like for the last couple of years, for the last couple of minutes, the show of lights from the protests in Romania. Thank you.